Hello, welcome to my studio. My name is Matthew Palmer, and we are here with Search Press, yes, because we are here to not only paint a beautiful picture of a yellow and blue or a golden blue McCoy parrot. There's the sketch. Take a screen grab if you want to, but we're also going to be talking about the new book that I've been working with Search Press on for the past, crikey, we're talking 2 years, something like that. That's the book there. Watercolour Animals for the Absolute Beginner, the brand new one, just been released literally a couple of days ago around the world, so you can get hold of this. It's a complete how to paint animals, paint pictures of animals, not how to paint animals. You shouldn't paint animals, paint pictures, beautiful ones. So we'll take a look at that a little bit later, but we're going to pretty much get straight into what we're doing. So if we take a look on the overhead camera, we've got the sketch here. And this sketch is on a 1/4 imperial sheet of watercolour paper, roughly 11 by 15 inch is the size. If you want to sketch it yourself, you could do a screenshot or pause the video when you watch it back, and that's the actual sketch. It's done with a 2B pencil. Size wise, it's probably about, let's have a look. So the whole McCoy is about 7 inches tall by about 6 wide, roughly. Nice quality sheet of watercolour paper there. If we talk a little bit about materials that we've got primary colours. You could do this with primary colours. What you need is something like natural yellow light. These are Matthew Palmer colours. Natural blue. Cadmium red. I'm using a bright red for this one. So a nice kind of bright red. Or you could use natural red. It wouldn't really matter. But some kind of a red paint. This one's Matthew Palmer natural red. So you could do it with primary colours quite easily, or you could, if you've got the full collection of my paints, you could use the full collection. Very useful to have some white paint. This is Matthew Palmer white gouache white acrylic. 3 brushes, size 20, size 10, size 6. These are my own brand of brushes. They're called super points, but basically it's a 20, a 10. They're just very pointy brushes. Simple as that, really. I've squirted them into the palette. So I'll be using my own range of paints. I'll be using some greens. I'll talk about the colours as we paint it, really. Treat this as a demonstration rather than a workshop, so you can watch it and maybe then watch it back and have a go yourself. I'll work at a pretty quick pace. So I've just popped a squirt of natural green. These are Matthew Palmer colours, natural green there. Green and green light. We've got some natural grey here. We've got some natural blue. We've got the red, as I mentioned, so you could either use cadmium red or rose madder, or even alizarin crimson. I've even got some natural turquoise here, so that's the colours. They're in there, ready to do something with, basically. It's a good idea to pop something under the top of the board, so we'll pop some masking tape under the top of the board there, and we'll get stuck into this. So using quite a large brush, got some kitchen paper as well, using quite a large brush, I'm going to wet the entire page a couple of times, wet it twice is about right. Wetting to wet is always a good starting point for a painting. So if we wet it twice, that's with a big brush. To be honest, that's probably going to do for the big brush. I want to pretty much use the size 10 brush here, and I want to pop a little bit of a blue background in. So I've got some natural blue here. We'll use that, not too strong for the blue there. On the tissue would be a good idea before you put it on your paper. And just a bit of a twist. Let your paint spread. I've got a slight tilt on the board. Of course, it doesn't matter if the paint goes over the top of the bird because you kind of want it to, but the brush is flat to the paper here. And I want the paint to spread and become part of the background. So we'll let all that just do its thing there. Let it just be part of the back. And then over here, we're going to be taking some natural green light. So natural green light. Now, obviously, you can mix your greens from yellow and blue, but this is a light green. And we'll get a little bit of that in there. Just say there's a bit of out of focus greens or foliage or whatever sneaking in. Let that mix with the blue so you get that nice variation. It's only a pale green, but it wants to be. But notice the brush is flat to the paper when I do this. Now, working at demo speed, so pretty quickly here today. And I love painting animals, hence the reason for the book. There we go. Just let that just do its thing. Let it just become part of what's there. What we're going to do next is we're going to go much stronger with the blue now, much deeper with the blue, okay, much heavier. And I'm also going to mix with a little bit of turquoise. Now, if you haven't got turquoise, just do blue or put some viridian hue. That'll make the colour slightly go towards a turquoise tinge, which is good for the McCoys because the blue has got a slight turquoise tinge to it, I always find. So we've got that there. This is going to come across the top of the head here. Come around here. We'll get all this working in. Literally going to go right through, letting the paint work. Rotate the board as you need to, as you see fit. Work down the edge. And then over the shoulder. Is that a song by Mike and the Mechanics? There you go. Let that just do its thing. Let it spread. Let it be part of what's there. Let it just melt in and become part of the background. We'll go lighter as the painting progresses. We want some of that green as well, believe it or not. There's a little hint of natural green light. Now again, you can mix your green from yellow and blue. So I'll pop the green across the top. I'm working at a pretty quick pace because I want this to be, I want it to be wet, you see. So I want the colours to all, look at that, beautiful. That mixes in lovely. A little hint of green just coming underneath there as well. Again, the paint's just spreading and doing its thing here. Lovely. Back to this. And then we're going to go for something quite light. So here we've got the light yellow. So natural yellow light or some kind of light yellow. All the colours are available on the website. Natural yellow light. Just want to spot a little bit of red into that. Just a tinge, just to get that more of a gold ambery colour to that. And that's going to be the colour that's going to come around here. And around this corner here. Beautiful, vibrant yellow. Again, the paper's still wet, sign of quality there. Bring it down. Let the colours mix. Let the colour just blend and become part of what's there. That's your secret to this. Now I want to pop a bit more red in this. So we'll take a touch more red and mix it within that orange. And this is going to let us get some more colour. Some more orangey colours creeping in around this corner here. So all done with a size 10 or a medium super point brush. Fairly strong paint as well, to be honest. It's got that lovely golden colour. You can pop a few hints of that elsewhere as well, I think. Around the shoulder, that kind of thing. But already we're starting to get that lovely vibrancy coming through there. That needs a moment to dry. While it is having a moment to dry, I want to go stronger with the blue and the turquoise. Just a touch of turquoise. If you haven't got turquoise, like I say, just leave it as blue. But if you have, you know, use it and make most of it. And we can just go, I've just wiped the excess away on kitchen paper, but I'm just going to come down the back edge of there just to make it look a little bit stronger. A little bit more obvious that that's the edge of the bird. Sweep it in. Over the corner there. Perfect. Now that's a good stage to be at. If we come back a little bit with the camera, we're all live, so we'll zoom in and out live. That's a really good stage to be at there. That can be left to sort of do its thing, as it were. While that is having a moment, let's have a look at the book, because this is what we're here for. We're here to celebrate this achievement. This is over 2 years worth of work, working with everybody at Search Press. Big shout out to the editor Carrie and everybody that worked so hard, the photographer Mark and all the team for putting this together. Really nice chunky book. All my animal painting experiences in this. 30 years worth of animal painting experience, all for $12.99. That pretty much sums up my life, doesn't it? Let's take a look on the overhead camera. Watercolour animals for the absolute beginner, lovely thing. Now, if you want to get hold of one of the first editions of this, we are kind of launching this today. It was officially launched a couple of days ago, but we've had copies for a while now, to be honest. So we have some first editions. The first editions are signed, limited signed and numbered edition out of 500. This is number 37. And you can see it's a lovely, it's the thickest book I've ever done. Full to the rafters. So I've popped a link in the description should you like to pick one up. The first half of the book is all about all the essential little tips and tricks that you need for your painting. So you've got like, you know, how to draw animals using common shapes, how to mix common colours. Then if we start from the back of the book, you can see the projects. You've got the lovely giraffe project, and look, Search Press are famous for this. All the little steps photographed and detailed, every brush stroke. So a lovely read. You've got my favourite one, I think, is this one. This is, of course, is the polar bear in the Arctic with all the steps. Panda. All that's there. The sea turtle won the vote as the favourite picture, I think, so far. That's the one that's winning. The sea turtle there, look. You got the cheetah. These are full watercolour projects for beginners. If you're new to painting, it's all there for you. Another parrot, a full-bodied red McCoy there. And then you've got the dolphins leaping against the sunset. You've got the little chaffinch there, the goldfinch even. Penguins. And then if you think, you know, I can't draw them. Matthew, I like them, but I can't draw them. Well, what you need is not to worry, because as it says here, look, you have full-sized outlines are included, which means in the middle of the book, I want to show you this. Let's show you this one. These actually fold out, look. So you've actually got a fold-out tracing. That's your polar bear sketch. They're slightly perforated as well. So if you want to remove them, you can use a light box. You can, if you put the sketch at the back of your watercolour paper and actually hold it up against a window, the light that's coming through the window will act as a light box. Tells you all the instructions in there. So that's $12.99, folks, if you want to get hold of a copy. On Watercolour TV, we do have some signed copies. So jump on the website, allthewswatercolour.tv. Pause for breath. I'm talking while this is drying, by the way. We need to let it dry. This is my website, allthewswatercolour.tv. Jump onto the art book section, which is I'm highlighting in blue for you. All my books that I've done with Search Press are there, and that's the latest one. We still have about a third of the first edition signed and numbered with a certificate of authenticity to say that you bought it straight from the author. I think that's a nice little touch, makes it maybe slightly more collectible. So do get yourself a copy of this should you wish, or you can buy them from Search Press. Just search Press on the old Tinternet, on the old Tinternet. Get Search Press searched. That's looking good so far. This is working well here. It's not fully dry, but it's dry enough for me to continue. So let's get over to the palette, and we're going to go a little bit more focused on the detail now, guys. Okay, so what we have is a size 6 brush or a small Matthew Palmer Super Point, and we're going to be using natural grey. Now I know what you're saying, Matthew, I haven't got natural grey. If you haven't got natural grey, why? Because it's such an essential colour. Pick it up on the website. Down here, look. Down here. You pick it up down here. All the W's watercolour.tv, but you can mix the grey from blue, so you can mix it from primary colours, blue, red and yellow. You can mix it from a big chunk of blue, a little bit of red, a little bit of yellow, and it will go grey. Why do we not use paint spray? Because it's too black. This is the perfect colour. Natural grey makes perfect sense, okay? Perfect sense. We've got it right there. We're going to use quite a bit of this. I'm going to rotate the brush across the edge of the palette, and then we're going to work closely in. We'll get a bit closer in today for the face as well, for the facial detail. Love the colours. Already we've got some nice colours coming through. Paper is not quite dry, but dry enough for me to do what I want to do. We'll start off by putting a bit of a mark in, actually, around the face. So there's little almost diagonal lines, and this sweeps lovely around here. The paint is very strong, and then this comes down into the feather detail here. Now, bear in mind, in the book, we're not rushing, you're not rushing. This is a demo. I'm kind of working a bit of a demo pace, so just bear that in mind. We'll also drop some shadows underneath here, and a few shadows just underneath some of these pencil marks. Clean the brush, wipe it almost dry. So your brush is clean but fairly damp, and then just using a bit of water, we're just going to give it a bit of a soften. Give it a bit of a blend in. So it's starting to pick out a little hint of detail, just a smidge, nothing too exciting, but it's there. And that helps for the paint to blend together. You can see how it's picking out a few shadowed areas. Now there's always a lovely bit of detail on the face of these parrots. They've always got a little bit of marking. So just a very strong grey. Don't be afraid of the strength in colour here. I'm going to put little diagonal flicks on. Put some small ones in between as well. You can see that the colour's really strong, really heavy paint. And it's all about that facial detail. This is a bit damp here, so I'm being a little bit cautious not to go too heavy with the hand on the paper. Little flicks. Around here. Utilising the grain of the paper here. Beautiful. These markings get quite small, but notice that the brush is not going on with a clean edge, it's slightly speckled. And that's because I've basically tapped away that excess on the paper. That's what we're trying to do here. We'll also work nice and close around that eye as well. Again, using the same colour here. We'll put some colour in that eye. We'll get to that later on. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll work around. Put a little flick on the edge. Lovely jubbly. And even a little bit just down that edge there. Now with that little bit I put on, I want to use water and just lightly soften the edge a little bit. So that's just a damp brush I'm using here, just to slightly soften some of the painting. And even the little bit that runs around the eye as well, just a little bit of a soften. Slight feather. If we do a really dry brush, which is basically wiping off all the colour, you can make your brush go a bit flat as well. You could actually get some of the little wrinkles that you see around the facial feature of these birds. And these little wrinkles, these little dry brush lines actually follow through all the way into these areas. So you can actually create texture around the fur, which is really nice. So just continue to add shape. Now this will come alive when we get all the eye and everything in the beak. But you can see I'm just lightly taking away that clean white, because it wouldn't be. It would have a few little creases of wrinkles and things around there. Now what we could also do is use some of the green here, because the eyes of these birds have got a very pale green colour to them, like a lot of birds' eyes do. Even fish fingers, I think, maybe, possibly, or fish cakes. What? Bird's eye. Captain's table. There we go. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Let's come back a little bit with the camera here. We'll get the pupil in there. Of course we will. We'll get to that stage. With the strong grey. 50 Shades of Grey. We'll drop in that just in the middle there. The paint's a bit damp, but it's not a bad time to do that. Highlights to come, don't worry. Yes, we'll put the white highlight on. Matthew, you've not put your white highlight on. Anticipation is half the fun, right? That's what we say, don't we? Let's get a few little bits of shadows around the shoulder and various things of the bird. This is using that grey, just that same grey. Come back a little bit with the camera here, you can see what I mean. It's got that same grey on. Just working around the edge. Again, clean brush, couple of taps. Just a bit of water just to blend it in. even just a very weak impression, because it's a bit of a vignette, this, we're fading away. If you want to paint the whole parrot, then obviously that's when you go for the, pick up the book, it's got the sketching, remember the sketch that's in there as well. So that's quite effective there. It's got a lovely little sense of detail already starting to come. It's so nice using grey for shadows, you can really utilise it. Wipe it off, make your brush go a bit spiky, add some texture to all this area, because it would have texture. Don't be afraid of it. And then we'll start to work on the beak. Quite a strong grey for the beak, natural grey. Quite a definite deep grey. And then what we'll do here is we'll go straight in, really quite dark down here. Now, like I say, if you are mixing your own, just rotate the board, if you are mixing your own colours, natural grey is about 70% blue, so you could use natural blue, ultramarine, something like that, cobalt blue, any popular blue really, with a little bit of red, make the colour purple, and then just drop in some yellow. The book teaches you how to mix colours from primaries. You don't need to have all these fancy colours, you really don't. Now over here we've got the little bit coming down there as well. The beaks are fascinating on these. Like the African greys are the same, aren't they? They've got these lovely beaks. Now I've left a few white patches because what I want to do is clean the brush really well. Give it a couple of taps on there, and then just use a bit of water because it's free. And then we'll go in. It's not free, I'm on a meter. We'll bring it in, and then we'll use water to fade that down. And we'll fade this up as well. So I'm cleaning up, but what's happening is, because I've not just blocked it all in grey like you'd possibly think to do, giving it a little bit more character, a bit more interest, that kind of thing, that to me works better than just trying to leave it all as a solid grey blob. You know, I always think it's nice to have a little bit of interest in there somewhere, a little bit of crisp edge, but then at the same time some lighter patches. If I dry the brush completely off, just on kitchen paper, and lightly tickle the back edge a little bit just to attach it. That really needs a moment to dry, so while that's having a moment to dry, we'll have a moment in the head area, and we'll come and get some more of the strong grey here. Very strong grey. I just want to make sure that eye is round. Get that pupil a bit darker. I just want to make sure that some of these markings are a little bit more definite. Because they're quite important then, aren't they? If I dry the brush off really well, you could even get a very faint impression of just a couple of the markings in the feathers. We're not going for mega detail here, but just a few little the middle lines that you see in the middle of the veins of the feathers, and a few outward lines. It just helps to give a slight impression of detail. I'm not going to lose sleep too much about those. A little bit around here. Make sure that's all nice and dark there. Beautiful. It's amazing how quick these things come together. Come out with the camera. You're not going to take forever on this. Now, that natural grey again, strong mix. I want to make it a little bit darker again. So for this, I want to introduce another colour, and that other colour is probably going to be either a red or some brown. So you could put some red in it to make it deeper, or I could just drop a bit of natural brown into it. It'll make the colour deeper and make it a slightly different tone, because inside the beak of the bird, what you've got is a real dark colour. So once that's had a moment or two to dry, this is really dark in there, really quite strong. Let me just rotate the board, and having a slightly different colour is quite important here. Leaving a little bit of white on the edge if you need to as well. But that is really quite a strong colour, and hopefully you can see that clear difference. That little bit of red that's in that colour, or that little bit of brown, I use natural brown in my case, is just giving that slight variation. I will drop a little bit of that on the edge of the beak as well, right on the tip of that beak, and on the underneath of this beak. It's just a darker grey. So you could add red, you could even put a bit of blue in it, to be honest. Can't beat a bit of blue. Bring that down. There. So I'm just adding a few more dark bits. I'll soften this in. This is like adding shadows on shadows. Even make some of the markings a bit darker as well, just in places. That little surround in the eye. We're going to put a lot more work in the eye before we finish. Clean the brush. Again, on the tissue. Just soften that in. Blend some of those lines in. Perfect. So a lovely strong colour, really dark, deep. This browny colour here, browny grey, works really well. Get the pupil a bit darker as well. Making those markings lovely. That's gorgeous. I love that. Really, really pleased with that. On the back of the wing here is actually a little bit of a dark flick quite often that you get on the where the wing sort of folds in, and you see a few of those. This little, it's a suggestion over here because the focus of the picture to me is more about the face. It's a portrait of a parrot rather than a complete animal, I think. You complete animal. Right, looking good, looking good. Happy with what we've got so far. I think it's just a case of taking a moment, looking back at the picture. We'll come back, we'll zoom back. Looking all right, yeah, looking nice. It's got all the parroty stuff there. Parroty stuff. What's orange and sounds like a parrot? A carrot. Why can't you get painkillers in the jungle? Because the parrots eat them all. This parrot, Polly, flew into the washing machine. Seriously, flew into the washing machine, was in there for 2 hours. Didn't realise. Took him out, hung him up on the clothesline with a couple of pegs. Took him 3 hours to get Polly unsaturated. Let's listen for the church bells. Nothing. Not even church bells today. Nothing. Gutted. Gutted. Moving on rapidly. Just want to make sure that things are really dark inside here, which I think they probably are. Beautiful. Now we're going to go for some white. I've got a bit of scrap paper here. Just thought I'd tell you that. And what we're going to do with that is pop a little bit of white on the paper. Now, you could use gouache acrylic, but I'm using Matthew Palmer white, which is a liquid white. Beautiful white. Lovely white. Jokes get worse, don't they? A little bit of water on the brush. You might want to use a finer brush here at this point. A more detailed pointy brush. I'm sticking with this. I'm sticking with this because it's quite pointy. It's a super point, small, but you might want a rigger brush or something similar to that. Possibly. Can't go wrong, can you? Now what we're going to do with the white, first of all, is dropping a highlight on the eye. I've been waiting for this, Palmer. What we'll do here is we'll pop the white on just like that. There you go. All them years of hard work have finally paid off. Let's get closer in, shall we? There you go. Parrot's eye. Now I often think on an eye, pop a little bit of white just in some of these little corners. Just a little bit of white just on the edge of the eye. It puts a bit more life into it. You often get a little bit of white on the beak as well. So let's just rotate that a little bit. and the white comes up here. It goes right on the edge next to where you put that dark, because the contrast will just leap off the paper, and you often see like a little bit of a few little lines on the beak. Growth lines, get a little bit in there as well, a little bit down here. You're basically increasing the contrast. That's exactly what we're doing here. We'll come back with the camera so you can see better what we're doing, but just adding that little bit of white here and there. A few white flicks on the edge. More white for some. Get a bit more white. Why did I put it on the bit of scrap paper? Because I forget it's in my palette, you see, and it gets a bit messy. So what I often do is put the white on the palette, on a piece of scrap paper, or just straight from the tube, to be fair. But it's Matthew Palmer white, so what a difference it makes putting the white in. It brings the whole thing alive. It's alive. Bring it in. Now, while I'm doing this, folks, I'll just tell you a little bit about what's happening this weekend. If you're watching this tutorial live on the 20th of June 2024, I've got a watercolour workshop coming up, a virtual one where you sit at home in your pyjamas and you paint along. And I've been doing these kind of since COVID came along, and these are like one-on-one tuition. So basically what happens is, got the white, by the way, and those feathers, beautiful, makes it stand out. Excuse me. What it is basically is you sat at home with your primary colours. That's all you need. And I love the white. It just completely changes it. Let's come back a little bit. And what you're doing is you basically book on. It's £12 for the workshop, and it includes the sketching and the painting lesson. Like one-on-one tuition, I don't actually see you. It's just you watching me, but it's very steady. It's not at this speed. This is very quick and very pacey for a demo, but it's a very nice way to work, and it's called a live virtual watercolour workshop. They're very popular. People from all around the world take part in them, so if you'd like to have a go, we're actually painting in a lovely scene of a canal. It's a canal, a narrowboat. Here's the information about it. That's the one that's happening this Sunday, the 23rd. Paint a narrowboat navigating a picturesque canal with Old Stone Bridge. You can see at the bottom it says watch live or anytime, yours to keep, with a critique session. What the critique session is basically is kind of you sort of watching me, if you like, and you can send your pictures in. That's optional. The critique thing is optional. You can send them in, and it's a lovely way to learn how to paint. All you need basically is primary colours. So all you need is yellow, blue and red, and 3 brushes, a large, medium and small brush. That's it. So red, yellow, blue paint. Jump on the website, have a look at the upcoming one to the date from where you are actually watching this. There's a link in the description for this, so click on that, or you can click on the big flashy button. It says live virtual watercolour workshop 23rd of June. You can see here that it's taking place in 2 days and 21 hours from now as I'm live. Click on that. That button will have the upcoming date as you're watching this. So if you're watching it live today on the 20th, then obviously the 23rd of June is the one. And look at the lovely picture of the barge and the bridge and everything. It's for beginners. It includes a downloadable drawing, but it also includes a step-by-step drawing as well, and an optional critique session, which means that you can basically be sat at home, send your pictures in, and we'll do a little chat through. That is totally up to you. About half of the people do these things live to book on them. We've got about 16 spaces available for this workshop, so do get yourself booked on. It's 12 quid. You know, it's a coffee and a cake. That's all it is, literally. But anyway, back to this. Right, he's looking good. We're going to call him Polly, because you've got to, haven't you? You've got to call your parrot Polly or Zach. Excuse me. Now I'm just putting little bits of white flicks on just to finish this guy off, because it really comes alive with a little bit of white just on some of these edges. And I don't think it wants much more than that, you know. I think it's made a lovely, pleasing watercolour picture. The white makes such an absolute difference. It really does. I love putting the white on. Let's come back with the camera here so we can see this in all its glory. And can I say, a big thank you for watching. Thank you to the team at Search Press for helping us put this little demo together. And remember, that is just a flavour of what the brand new book, Watercolour Animals for the Absolute Beginner. This book is full to the rafters of super detail, 160 pages worth of lovely content about painting your animals. So thank you so much for watching today. Do check out the book, do check out the workshops, do make sure you jump onto Matthew Palmer Artist's Facebook page, hit follow. I've got a YouTube channel with 115,000 subscribers, so make sure you subscribe to that as well if you've not already. And here is a final close-up of the bird. So thanks for watching, and I will see you very soon.